the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely.
Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines on WNJC.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage. Over.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you're now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli, Russ Gallo here. Russ, what's going on, man?
Gene. Tonight's going to be awesome. We got the Yak here, by the way.
It's going to be a hot one. We got Yak Bart in the house. Yak, how you doing, pal?
I am fabulous as always. How you guys doing?
Well, clearly, is it 2-drink minimum Wednesday again? Or Tuesday? Well, you know what day it is.
I'm 6 to 8 in already,
it's
just so you know.
No drink and fully medicated Tuesday, I guess.
All right, then, Lord help us, here we go. We got a great show for you tonight. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of insanity, but it's been an insane season lately, Russ, when it comes to the news coming out of the presidential election cycle. When we have to talk about insanity on the campaign trail, you got to bring in Yak.
Ouch! Gene just touched me. I'm filing charges, assault and battery.
Oh, come on.
I did not touch you.
No, well, ouch! That's it. Assault and battery. I want you both in jail. I'm pressing charges.
Oh, okay. All right.
Drop the mace. Step away from the mic.
And by the way, Yak just pointed out there is, and we should put this up on the Twitters, Rush. There is a can of mace on the table right now.
Maybe we can get somebody to take a picture of this and put it
that
out
is
there.
for our protection from Yak, and I'm going to get that up on the BEL Twitters. Russ, obviously you are alluding to, in your subtle way, the news early this week about Trump's campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, who is basically the second in command, a man Donald Trump trusts, has been arrested. He turned himself in to the Jupiter County Police based upon a complaint filed by Michelle Fields, friend of the show, former guest of the show, regarding what she is claiming as an assault against her and a battery against her. And based upon video evidence obtained from the Trump compound in, I believe, was this in Mar-a-Lago, I guess? It was somewhere in Florida. The Jupiter Police and the prosecutor of the county have decided to press charges for a misdemeanor assault and battery against Mr. Lewandowski. Russ and I are on two sides of this thing. And by the way, none of it has to do with our friendship with Michelle. She's always been a friend of the show. We love her to death. This is nothing personal. We are discussing the pure legalities and perceptions and politics of the issue. And because I'm such a magnanimous host and such a good friend to my friend Russell, I'm going to allow him to go first on this one. So you go right ahead, pal. I promise I will not interrupt you. I'm not even going to use the bell or the mace. So you can just take us on your perspective of this. And your perspective being, of course, not only a conservative and a voter, but also someone with a strong law enforcement background. So take it away, my friend, and lead me down this path you want to take me.
Well, lots of things to say here, but I hope it's a back and forth. I don't want to just have like a 2-minute,
No.
back and forth.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm glad Gene mentioned friend of the show, Michelle Fields. We love her to death. We've had her on the show several times, and Gene last week made it an issue to not speak about this, which we kind of touched on at the end of the show, and I'm glad that he came around, and now we're going to actually talk about it a little more in depth.
Well, now it's an issue. Now there are charges. Now there's meat to it. You know?
Yeah, well, I'm going to run down a couple of quick things. Hopefully we go back and forth and we explore these things a little more. But first of all, man up. That's my first bullet point I wrote down. As soon as I'm looking at this stuff, man the F up. Listen, Michelle, I love you to death, but come on. If that was a man pulling another man, guess what? It's not an issue. When Uma, or however you say it, did
Uma Abedin?
Yeah, Anthony Weiner's
side piece.
No, I think she's the real one.
No.
She's the main one.
She might be the main one, but she's probably the side piece by this point.
She did the same
given
thing.
Anthony Weiner.
She did the same exact thing to someone trying to speak to Hillary, and it never became an issue because it was woman on woman. If you want to be in this kind of a game, you got to man up. All right, that's first of all. Second of all, if it wasn't Donald Trump involved in this, it would not be an issue. I mean, that's clear. If this was two people on the street, it would not be an issue. And I'm going to read to you what what constitutes the charge of simple battery. In Florida, the term battery means any actual and intentional touching or striking of another person against that person's will.
I commend you on the show prep, by the way.
I appreciate it. So any intentional touching that's non-consensual. So if you tap someone on the shoulder and say, "Hey, buddy, excuse me," or you bump into someone by accident, well, that would be unintentional. But any intentional touching. So some people, I know when my mother talks to me, she likes to touch my arm. Is that a battery?
Aww.
Is that a battery?
I think you consent to the simple touching of your arm.
Again, we're overdoing this, and we're going to go down this path.
And we love you, Mama Gala.
And I'm almost done, Gene. I'm going to throw it over to you, but a couple of more bullets I just want to throw out there. I hope you're not offended and charge me with threatening you or harassing. I said bullets.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm in my safe space. We're good.
All right, so legalese and lawyer speak, which Gene is going to do soon, because we did this before the show.
And makes a lot of money on.
Legalese and lawyer speak versus commonsensical speech like mine. Even that might not be a real term, but I'm Donald Trump-esque when it comes to this stuff. And this is why Donald Trump is surging, because he talks to the everyday man. He doesn't go down this path of, well, the letter of the law says this is a battery. Watch the videos, folks. It's not a battery. It's not an assault. It's laughable what's going on here. I predict these charges are going to get dropped. Nothing comes of this. There's definitely no jail time here. There's no way this goes to trial. Charges dropped, no harm done at the end of the day. Michelle Fields, man up. That's all I got to say.
Well, allow me to retort, Russ, because to me, this can't be more than a first-year law student problem. This is the quintessential law school assault and battery that we all learn in torts and in criminal law. This is a prime example. First of all, there are multiple videos of the event. When taken in totality, what you see in the videos are Michelle Fields and Donald Trump walking together. You then see Corey Lewandowski coming up from behind, and without Michelle seeing him or knowing that he is there, grabbing her arm, pulling her arm backwards. Michelle taking 2 steps backwards as a result of the tugging on her arm. You also see the person who claims to be an eyewitness to the event, one of the reporters from one Washington paper or another, I believe his name is Bettis, looking directly at the grabbing and the pulling by Lewandowski on Fields. So you know that he is a credible witness. Beyond that, you have the evidence of the damage that Michelle Fields is claiming, and that is the bruising on the spot where she claims that she was grabbed. It's the same arm, and she claims that, obviously you're at a press event, you're credentialed to be there. You can approach the person who's hosting the event, Donald Trump. He's walking out and he's talking to people, including reporters, and there is a flow to the traffic that's walking, and it's all centered around Donald Trump. As Donald Trump is exiting and talking to Michelle Fields, she gets pulled backwards. Are there stronger cases of assault and battery? Are there more serious cases of assault and battery? Absolutely. But that doesn't make an assault any less criminal because there was little or no damage. It may have a bearing on the punishment or the penalty if proven later on in a court of law. And let's put it out there. Right now these are allegations. Right now this is internet stuff with videos going back and forth. But is there enough there for a reasonable law enforcement officer to see a charge? Absolutely. Is there enough for, let's even say, an overzealous prosecutor to make a name for themselves and to put a charge up? Absolutely. This is something that I think Russ would agree with me on when I say that this would be in the discretion of law enforcement and the prosecutor's office, the district attorney's office for the county, as to whether charges should be brought. Is this a political witch hunt? Your guess is as good as mine. There's word out there that the prosecutor is a prime supporter of Hillary Clinton in Florida. He could be making a name for himself. He could be supporting the Clinton campaign. Fact of the matter is, it's a judgment call. And I think it's the right judgment call. If someone did that to someone I know and, bruise them up, the squeeze that you would have to put on someone's forearm to make a bruise, possibly significant depending on the person, I could see this for what it is. A very mild case of assault and battery that is being magnified because of the political race. Go ahead, Russ. You're going to attack me. I see it coming.
It's almost laughable. I mean, this is why people hate lawyers. And
Gene,
this is why,
you ignorant slut.
I mean, Jesus Christ, no offense, Yak. I mean...
I'm not offended. You do your thing, I do my thing.
Yak Bard,
and we're going to get him on the show in a little while.
Yak Bard, the Elie Wiesel of Behind Enemy Lines.
But this is almost laughable. I mean, when lawyers speak, this is why, listen, Ted Cruz, I love him to death. Again, he's still my first choice, but a guy like Ted Cruz, I don't know if he can win. Because when lawyers speak, you put us to sleep, and it's nonsensical. The average man doesn't care. That's not an assault and battery. If you watch the video from the overhead camera that Donald Trump provided, by the way.
And we have many times.
I'm watching it on loop right now. That, according to Gene, the lawyer, there's about 100 assault and batteries going on in that crowd because everybody's bumping into everybody. Everybody's tapping each other on the shoulder.
No. Wait a minute now. When you're at a press event...
I thought I was going to speak, but that's okay. Go ahead.
No problem, but when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're at a press event...
You were wrong several times. I didn't jump in.
When you're at a press event... and you are there working, and you understand the environment, the idea is reasonableness, Russ. There's going to be bumping and shoving and moving around and jockeying for position at these events by press at the end of an event. But that does not mean that one of the people doing the event has the right to grab your arm and pull you backwards.
Gene has took the cheese that I put out and fallen into my trap.
Oh, let's see this now. Go ahead.
You're correct.
We're talking about cheesy. We're talking about Russ Gallo right now.
In the event that it was a press conference, an active press conference going on, and she was battered. Battered women, by the way, take offense to this, but Michelle Fields was battered by this guy, supposedly. If it was an active press conference and she was battered, then maybe you have a point. The press conference was officially announced as being over. Donald Trump announced he will be taking no further questions and was walking off.
You know as well as I do that even when the official event is over, there's still an opportunity to get quotes. We've done it.
Correct, ourselves. Gene. But if you watch the video, and Donald Trump has said this himself, she was actually touching him throughout the video.
And that is not...
That is also a battery according to Florida statute. The intentional touching against the other person's will, non-consensual. Well, so should Donald Trump pursue counter charges against her for battering him? This is ridiculous.
He could have.
He still can. There's no statute. He's within the statute of limitations to file a charge. This is insanity.
So then let him. And that's why we've titled this show Silly Season.
But this is why you use discretion as a law enforcement officer. This is clearly political. If two people were on the street, if a man, Gene, listen to me for one second.
Now
before you jump in,
County have abused their
before
discretion.
you jump in here, Gene, please listen to me. If your mom was walking down the street and someone, a man, a woman, a bum, whatever, was coming up to your mom that close and actually touching her arm or tapping your mom, trying to ask your mom questions. You could say it's a different scenario, but just listen to me because you're a lawyer here, not being subjective, right? So they're touching your mom. Would you not do the same thing that Lewandowski did and pull him back and say, all right, enough?
I would do worse. I would do a lot worse.
Would you not? Gene, go ahead.
If it's my mom...
Yes.
And it's on the street.
Yes.
And it's someone that she doesn't know that is actively pursuing her. You want to say it's in a quick manner, a slow manner?
Asking a question, not actively pursuing.
Saying,
touching your mom's arm or walking with her against your mother's will. She said, I'm not going to answer your question.
Are there any words being exchanged before the touching?
She said, I'm not going to answer your question, but she still persisted to keep moving and ask the question.
Absolutely, I would stop the guy.
Okay, so you're a batterer. You're a woman batterer. Look at you. Disgraceful.
Absolutely not.
Your Honor, I rest my case.
Because there is
the prosecution right.
And this is why I'm the lawyer and you're not. Because there is clearly a difference between the scenario that you're talking about, where someone says, go away before the touching. There's no indication that Donald Trump is saying go away. He's walking side by side with her at the same pace. It's not like she's trying to catch up to him. They're walking side by side. There is no moment where Donald Trump says, go away, don't talk to me. There's no security stopping. There was security at the event. There's no security stopping Michelle Fields from walking side by side with less than 6 inches away from Donald Trump. There is no moment that we talked about in the example you gave me. But let's flip the script here a second, Russ. For your theory to be correct, Michelle Fields has to be lying. The witness has to be lying. The video has to be wrong. The police abuse their discretion, and the prosecutor's in the back. But that all has to happen for you to be right. How does that happen, Russ? How is all this confluence of events happening all at the same time in a conspiracy against Donald Trump? Her lying, the witness lying, the video being wrong, multiple videos being wrong, Donald Trump not being in any fear of imminent danger or harm, the police abusing their discretion in saying, because the police have used their discretion to determine that there was a crime here, and the prosecutor going along with it all because there's a political witch hunt going on here. Explain to me how all of this comes together in one amalgamation of events just because it's Donald Trump.
All right, Gene, all straw man arguments. I'll address them shortly. But, Gene, what was the reporter's name you claimed was the witness of this?
I believe his name was Bettis is the last name.
Terrace.
Terrace? Okay, thank you.
So let's hear what Let's hear what Terrace had to say. I was hoping this was it. So here's a little transcript of a conversation that Michelle Fields and this guy, I believe it was Ben Terrace?
Maybe that's where I got the Bettis from. B. Terrace. There you go.
There you go. So,
Ben Terrace.
So this is shortly after the event, or the what would you call it? I don't want to say the battery, because that's clearly not what happened.
Let's call it the incident. How about that? Is that neutral enough
incident.
for you?
So Terrace, he says, "Are you okay?" Michelle Fields says, "Holy shh." You know what the word is.
Thank you for doing that.
So then Terrace says, "Yeah, he just threw you down." Okay, so that's what Terrace says, right? So let's continue the conversation.
Hyperbole, but okay, go ahead.
So I can't believe he just did that. That was so hard. Was that Corey Lewandowski? That's
Michelle Fields saying that. Because it came from, as the video shows, he came from behind and grabbed.
Hold on, your witness. We've all watched the video, so let's hear what your eyewitness is saying, Gene. So Terrace responds, "Yeah, like, what threat were you?" All right, so now Michelle Fields responds, "That was insane. You should have felt how hard he grabbed me. That's insane. I've never had anyone do that to me from a campaign."
Clearly sounds like somebody who's shaken up.
All right, she's offended. All right, whatever, okay. So now Terrace comes back. "Can I put that in my story?" All right, so now the pieces start falling together.
And you know what? Absolutely. That's a motivation for a reporter to get a scoop. There's definitely something called the question
nibbling
there.
At the cheese. Okay, so Michelle Fields goes on. "Yeah, go for it. That was really awful. That's so unprofessional." That's Michelle Fields. Here's the money shot, guys. This is what Terrace says. Ready? "He really just almost threw you down on the ground." Really? Now, this is me talking, Russell. So, really? He almost threw you down on the ground? Can anyone watch that video and tell me that he really almost threw her down to the ground? Or is this a political witch hunt? Gene, I have a couple more things to say before you jump in here, because you addressed a lot of things in your little thing. Here's the question I have for you.
I just want to do a plug and then let you continue real quick. I just want to say that we got a chat room going right now during the show. We got some comments coming into the chat as Russ is talking. Go to www.behindthemirlinesradio.us, click on the Listen Live button, and you can join in the chat, watch the chat, see what people are saying. Lots of great comments coming in so far tonight. Russ, continue. Go ahead.
I hate when he does this. He derails me in the middle of like a heated, passionate point.
It's actually a legal tactic.
Of course he is. He tries to derail me, but it's not going to work because I take notes, people. So, besides that false eyewitness that Gene just, clearly trying to do it for a story.
False.
Watch the video. He didn't almost throw anyone down. That's ridiculous. If it were two men, as a matter of fact, here was the second point I was going to make before you try to derail me, but it will never work, folks. I'm Russ Gallo.
I'm loving this, by the way. I'm loving it.
If it was not Michelle Fields, let's erase Michelle Fields out of there, right? A pretty girl. She's a friend of the show. She's a conservative. She worked for Breitbart. Let's erase Michelle Fields out of the equation.
Let's go to the exact opposite of what Michelle Fields is. Let's go to Gene Baradelli.
Forget about Gene Baradelli. Let's say it was Bill Maher or Rachel Maddow who was claiming that a Ted Cruz campaign manager battered one of them. Bill Maher or Rachel Maddow. Same video, but replace Michelle Fields with one of them. I don't think anyone would be agreeing that was a battery if it was Bill Maher or Rachel Maddow.
Well, first of all, I think if it was Bill Maher, he'd be swinging as soon as he's grabbed.
Okay.
Let's say that. I think that people's reaction would be different.
It doesn't change. Don't deflect. You made a lot of straw man arguments before that is
that
a
you
huge
still haven't addressed, by the way.
Let's address that real quick because I don't want to take your time. But, the video is wrong and the police are wrong. No. The video shows what it shows. The police had a person claiming to be a victim, so they filed the charges and report, which they're supposed to do. And it's, you as a lawyer know this better than anyone, it's up to a court to decide, a jury to decide whether or not that video meets the threshold, or it may go to a grand jury beforehand, meets the threshold to not only file the charge, but convict the defendant, in this case Lewandowski.
Absolutely,
so
but that's not the
everyone
issue
did their
right
job. There's no conspiracy. Michelle Fields claims she's a victim. I could say that I think that you battered me right now and go to a police precinct right here in Brooklyn and file a charge. The police are doing their due diligence by filing that charge. That's all it is. There's no mass conspiracy.
Okay, so then the police were well within their discretion upon looking at the evidence to then say that there's a charge there.
They don't even need to look at the evidence. You can walk in, if you dial 911 right now and say that I threatened to kill you, they'll make an arrest. And then it's up to a court to decide whether or not I'm guilty. So the eyewitness account or the victim's account is enough, probable cause to make the arrest. So that's what they did. That doesn't mean that there's anything there.
But that's not what they did. They held a press conference, Russ, and they said...
Because this is a political case. This is not your everyday run-of-the-mill, someone's trying to... A bum on the street trying to talk to your mother, so you pulled his arm, and now all of a sudden you're getting... This is not one of those cases that would never happen in real life. This is Michelle Fields, a woman who I assume easily bruises, because I don't see an assault or a battery on that video, even though Florida statutes are pretty vague when it comes to it. Any intentional touching that's non-consensual, that's ridiculous.
It's not any more vague other than any other statute.
New York State has no criminal code for a battery. It does not exist.
They just call it assault. It's the same thing.
Does not exist in New York State. Most states do not have it. That's ridiculous. Florida is over the top there.
Read the New York Penal Code.
I've read the New York Penal Law, not cover to cover, but I know about assaults. Assaults and batteries, two different things, and there's no such thing as a criminal battery. That's ridiculous.
It's actually in Article 120 of the Penal Code. Person commits the crime of assault in the third degree if a person knowingly and recklessly causes bodily injury to another person, or with criminal negligence, the person accuses bodily injury causes bodily injury to another person by means of a deadly weapon. So it could either be bodily harm to another person or negligence with a weapon.
So then it comes down
to the third degree. Wait. There it is for you, Russ. It's right there.
Hold on, I have a plug before you continue.
Go ahead.
No,
do your
I'm
plug.
joking. But
I put my.
So all it comes down to, who cares? First of all, as a conservative, there are way too many laws on the books, and they're way too vague, and you can break the law every day without even trying. But what this case is going to come down to is whether or not people believe that first of all, that this is not a political witch hunt. That's the first thing. Jury nullification would happen if this got to trial, which it never will. I'm going on the record. This will never get to trial. Michelle Fields will either withdraw these charges or say she's not going to testify, or there'll be a plea deal to something much less than a battery, which is only a misdemeanor in Florida anyway. Guaranteed that's going to happen.
Russ just said the magic words that he's going to go on record, and that is a great opportunity for me to talk
to you about. Of course, to stop from my second point, but go ahead.
GoOnRecord.com. Sign up right now. What are you passionate about? What do you stand for? Let the world know. GoOnRecord.com. Continue, Russ.
The only point of contention is going to be whether or not, besides the first thing that I just mentioned before Gene so rudely interrupted me, is whether or not that bruise was a direct result of the touching and constitutes battery. That's the legal question there. And honestly, it's ridiculous to even entertain this. Again, if it were two men involved in this, it would not be an issue. This is insanity.
The legal questions are there. It's up to a jury to decide.
People hate lawyers. This is ridiculous. This is why Donald Trump is going to be the next president.
You want to talk about straw man arguments? There's one right there.
This is why Donald Trump is going to be the next president, honestly.
Everyone
you can
hates
go down
a lawyer.
in the weeds. You can go down into the weeds. I know what Gene just said. I'm going to let him say because I like this saying. But people go down into the weeds and nitpick. People hate that stuff. This is common sense. You watch that video, nothing happened. Nothing.
Everyone hates a lawyer until everybody needs a lawyer. So I'm not going to buy that strong man. I know that our audience is smarter than that than to buy into that nonsense.
And by the way, if you look in the chat room, Diana, former president of the Brooklyn YRs,
former president of the state
contributor
YRs.
to the show, former chairman of the state New York State YRs. She's not a Trump supporter yet. She's a Ted Cruz supporter, but even she thinks that this is kind of ridiculous.
I think that reasonable people can disagree on the facts of the case. What I'm talking about right now is their legal sufficiency to bring the charges. Yes, there is. Is this a political witch hunt? I already said that. Thank you for making my argument for me. Yes, I think it is. I think that if this was a common person on the street and another common person on the street, and the name Donald Trump was not involved, or any name for that matter was involved, of any sort of national, regional, or local note, this would not be a case.
Gene Baradelli hates black people. Oh, I'm channeling Kanye. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I do want to get Yak involved in this because I'm dying to hear his take.
We need to get Yak's take on this. Yakov Bard. Russ, what did we call him before the show? That was phenomenal, the name that we gave him.
He had a lot of names, but we're going to have to go with the best one.
Only the ones that we allow on air, guys.
The one that's PC enough to get on the air. So he is an originalist, not only when it comes to the Constitution, but also when it comes to the Bible. Our Old Testament friend, Yakov Bard.
Okay, first of all, let's be very clear. It is the Torah. There is no old or new. It's the.
He doesn't believe in the sequel. He only likes the original.
Yes, the sequel.
Or as we like to call it,
I'm not going to say the sequel sucks.
Or as we like to call it, the prequel.
Man.
We actually call it the prequel. It's not the sequel. But go ahead. All right. Chime in here. Well, now listen. Yak Bard, no fan of Donald Trump, by the way.
Listen, but I will go on record. GoRecord.com. I'm going to go on record to say that I will support. I am not hashtag never Trump. I used to be, but I matured, and I'm going to...
So now that we've established that you're a flip-flopper, continue.
I am a flip-flopper. Only when...
Don't bite his arguments, Yak. You stay on track.
No, I am not going to... I am not... he can try, but he can't derail me, just like he can't derail you.
Yak's off the rails. You can't derail someone off the rails. Go ahead.
Gene, you're off duty. This is not court. This is airtime. Now, let me tell you this. Look, it's just not... I don't know Michelle Fields. You two know who she is, so I'm not going to comment on her. I'm sorry, this story is not sexy enough. There isn't enough info that will be like, oh my God, Corey Lewandowski. Sorry, I'm way too loud.
It's been sexy enough to dominate the news cycle today, though.
Well, of course it's a news cycle because it's a chief of staff of a major campaign, a front runner,
which makes it sexy.
Hopefully, a declining front runner. Look, I'm associated with the Ted Cruz campaign. I want him to win my congressional district. I'm very involved in that. I want every single Jewish person in New York to vote against Trump and for Cruz. However, that being said, I don't think this story is going to hurt Trump. I just hope it doesn't hurt Cruz.
Well, you know what? This is a great time to talk about transitioning from the merits of the legal argument to now let's talk about perception, and let's talk about how this may affect the race in Wisconsin and beyond. But before we do that, thanks for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio, guys.
He just derailed himself. I love it. With a plug.
I'm Gene and he's Russ. And while we got you listening to the show, check us out at www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you missed any part of this show live here on Spreaker Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, check us out on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. Time change on that, by the way, folks. We'll be airing now Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Drive Time Radio at WNJC. We're also on ICRN, the Internet's conservative radio network, Red State Talk Radio, High Plains Talk Radio, and Sackheads Media, and K98Talk.com. And if you miss us at any one of those rebroadcasting outlets, you can listen to us on demand anytime you want at Spreaker, iTunes, Player FM, Podbay, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play Podcasts, and any other fine outlets where you can find your podcast. Now let's get back to what we were talking about, which is
Do you remember? Because I was going to say I don't.
I'm completely lost.
Well,
I'm gone.
Well, yeah, that's because there's a day that ends in Y. But we're talking about the political ramifications this may have for Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and I guess John Kasich, if we still consider him a candidate, going forward into Wisconsin. Russ, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to pull McLaughlin Group on you right now.
Here we go.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no effect whatsoever, and 10 being catastrophic failure of a campaign, how does this incident affect the Trump train? It's dead air, Russ. We can't.
Catastrophic incident versus what?
No, it's a scale, Russ. 1 to 10.
Yeah,
1 being,
but I don't think the scales make sense.
1 being no effect whatsoever. 10 being this derails the campaign.
But then I'm going to go into the negatives because it's going to have a positive effect on the Trump campaign. You can't say it's no effect or bad effect. It's going to have a positive effect. Men like me, you're talking about people who are angry against the establishment and political correctness. This is a clear case of PC run amok. If it were two men, I have to go back to it again because repetition is a good tool to learn, I guess.
Okay. So he said PC Run Amok, drink. If he says build a wall later, you know he's in the tank.
This is why people like Donald Trump. What are you talking about? Catastrophic. How does this hurt the man? His campaign.
Catastrophic. I'm giving you the scale. That's all.
But you started this. You tipped your hand and showed how biased you are. You're saying it either has no effect or a bad effect. I'm saying it has a positive effect. I guarantee you this helps him. Guys like Ted Cruz are jumping on this. And I love Ted Cruz, but like a lot of guys on the right, including a lot of talk radio hosts, which I'm shocked at. Mark Levin and a few others are totally going against Trump on this thing and going all in. And I would love to call Mark Levin one night and say, hey, if it was Rachel Maddow or whatever, the same question I posed to you, see what they would say. I'm sure they would spin it somehow, but they would be lying because this is clearly not a battery, Gene. We all know this, and this is actually going to help him. I'll tell you where Trump is going to be hurt, and this is probably his Achilles heel now. All this stuff about the wives, this is where I think Donald Trump has mishandled his campaign.
Excellent segue.
If anything. War on women and all that nonsensical stuff. Michelle Fields trying to make a name for herself. I know we keep saying we love her. I do. I think she has a great future ahead of her, but she's going down the wrong path here. A man would have never done this, and this is why Donald Trump is going to keep gaining popularity. I know I went down this road before. But the war on women type thing, Donald Trump showed how politically ignorant he is in some ways with not understanding that a super PAC by federal law and Supreme Court decisions cannot be steered by a candidate because that's actually illegal. So clearly Ted Cruz had nothing to do with the supposed attack, which was a public picture already of Donald Trump's wife that was retweeted or put out there by a political ad by a super PAC. He showed how politically ignorant he was and then attacked Cruz's wife. Big mistake. If anything's going to hurt Donald Trump, which I'm not even sure if this will, that would be it, not the Michelle Fields incident.
Well, I think, and before I give my opinion, let me get your take. And you know what? I'll redo the scale. 0 being positive effect for his campaign, 10 being catastrophic failure.
You know something? And I don't know if you're going to like this answer, but I don't think there is really a scale because I think it really does. It's not dependent on what's happening now. I think it depends on how Cruz handles it, how Trump handles it in the next week or so, that we can say, okay, this is going to have a negative effect on Wisconsin and lower. Because first of all, I think Trump, smart move. I mean, I even saw Trump supporters saying, oh, he should fire Corey Lewandowski. And Trump did not do that. Very impressive. And for a guy that thinks it's, I'm not saying it's a non-story, but it's close to it. And my inner Kasich tells me, look, this is nuts. We're fighting too much around over here. Obviously, this is not going to help Kasich, even though he's that kind of candidate that likes to tout that. But I think the country, the party really wants to get back to this. We're really sick and tired of the spouses getting involved in this race and Michelle Fields and Corey Lewandowski. I don't know. I think this has a devastating effect. A scale from 1 to 10, I think a devastating effect on the GOP. We got to move. Get out of the weeds. We get out of the swamps.
Well, you know what? I'm actually going to agree with Russ on this. I don't think this particular issue is going to have much effect. But what is having an effect, and the polls are reflecting it, is this whole back and forth about Ted Cruz attacking his wife, and then the story in the National Enquirer coming out soon thereafter, and people are causally connecting that to Trump and his advisors like Roger Stone and all that. I'm not sure that even happened either, but perception is reality in politics, right? I think that Trump has seen his lead erode in many places, California being one of those places.
Very important.
I think that Trump did do a misstep when it came to bringing the wives into it. I don't think you bring the families into it.
I don't know if he was smart enough to know, though, Gene. Like, he was ignorant. I think he really did believe that Cruz somehow was attacking his wife. He didn't understand that super PACs legally cannot be steered by a candidate.
I think he was being defensive.
But I think he was overly defensive because he's been attacked so many times and from all sides since August, and B, it's his wife that is being attacked by somebody associated with Cruz. As an angry husband, he jumped to that point. Politically, lost some credibility, lost some point. And again, I want to bring back to Yak's point real quick, because Yak made a great point. The loyalty that Donald Trump shows to his staff is rare to see in politics. By defending Corey Lewandowski and doing all and sticking by him, it shows a loyalty that you don't see from staffers. I mean, we saw with Ted Cruz when Rick Tyler did something wrong with Ben Carson.
I remember we met him together with Scotty Hughes.
We met Rick Tyler at CPAC. But Ted Cruz, within 24 hours of that coming out about the messages, what happened was he ended up getting fired.
No, he didn't. He ended up getting fired for retweeting that video that made it look that Marco Rubio was dissing the Bible. He defended Rick Tyler in his entire campaign for what happened.
But he still fired him though.
But that video, I don't know if he should have been kicked out for that. But that was more serious than what happened. Well, I was a non-story, which Ben Carson turned into a story.
As a Brooklyn Italian, I admire the loyalty. That's all I'm saying.
Me too.
Little known fact about Scotty Hughes, actually. I once played that game, I Got Your Nose, and she charged me with battery.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break here, guys. And when we come back, we'll be talking more about election 2016 and the silly season that's gone insane lately. And speaking of insane, time to bring Andre Walker into the mix a little bit, see what he has to say for this week's monologue. Gene Rusniak behind Enemy Lines. We'll be right back after Andre Walker.
Hello and welcome. My name's Andre Walker, and your weekly monologue starts right now. This was the week we discovered the FBI could crack your iPhone. Apple are going mental. The feds say they're doing it in order to stop terrorism. Well, I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing, but what I do know is that the terrorists already feel like they've won the data war because of Hillary's homebrew. Amazingly, Hillary's homebrew isn't a craft beer quaffed by beardy, weirdy, sandal-wearing Brits who love a nutty brew or a yeasty aftertaste. No, it's the name of the email server type that Hillary Clinton installed in her house. I'm no IT expert, but I'm not convinced that we should be entrusting the secrets of the world's only remaining superpower to something a Clinton knocked up at home. Bearing in mind that the last thing a Clinton knocked up at home was Monica Lewinsky. If you loved fat data, you'd love Monica. But then again, most of us don't love fat data or fat interns because they've both had too many chips. Fidel Castro attacked Barack Obama this week for daring to visit his country. Annoyingly, the attack was comment rather than physical violence. Come on, Fidel. You've had so many chances to stick a big fat Cuban where the sun don't shine. Where has your revolutionary bravery gone? Even Cruz and Rubio would have approved of a visit of Air Force One if they knew that Uncle Barry was not coming back when it flew the other way. Listen. The truth about the visit to Cuba is that an evil, faded, socialist dictator was too much of a coward to do anything meaningful to stand up for his country. And let me tell you something, Castro was just as bad. Now, changing the subject completely from crazed despots who have absolutely no grasp of democratic systems, let's talk about Donald Trump. Two things unrelated. New York's blonde bombshell won the Louisiana primary by 3.6%. That ascribed him a pretty small margin, just not quite as small a margin as we've seen a margin on those paintings doing the rounds of him. Ooh, weenie. Ooh, Trumpy weenie. Ooh, time to poke out my mind's eye. But there's a serious point here. Trump might get fewer delegates than Ted Cruz from Louisiana. That's because Trump and Cruz were so close they both got 18 delegates straight off. But there are rumours that Rubio's 10 delegates may vote for Cruz in the second round of the convention. Guys, if you really cared about the land of the free and the home of the brave, there would be no games at Republican convention and you would unite to defeat Hillary. These wars make as much sense as news today that a guy hijacked an Egyptair flight in order to demand it be rerouted to Cyprus so the hijacker could see his ex-wife. What was your problem, chum? I know international calling rates are a bit of a bummer right now, but you cannot hold a passenger jet up in order to see some minging old trout that dumped you years ago. It's just not cool at all, and neither would be a convention battle. Neither of those are cool. That was the monologue, just enough time to award the Boston Patriots Award for Fail of the Year. It goes to British Prime Minister David Cameron, who has proposed a sugar tax. The last time the British government proposed a sugar tax was 1764, and it resulted in the loss of the United States of America. Guys, it worked last time. Why doesn't London just have another go? Until next week, goodbye.
Check out Andre's column at townhall.com. check it out on Twitter at Andre JP Walker. And read Andre's work here, Behind Enemy Lines. Now back to the show.
Gene and Russ, back behind Enemy Lines. We want to thank Andre Walker from townhall.com, their UK lobby correspondent, for providing that monologue for us. Again, tremendous stuff coming from Andre Walker, Russ, and Yak. What do you think, Yak?
Wow. I mean, I love Andre Walker, but this was something. This was something new.
Yeah, he's improving every time out. Obviously,
he was always good from the get-go, but he's getting better.
Speaking as a guy with perfect elocution, the accent's a bit much. But
yeah, I can't stand that accent he got over there.
Yeah, the accent over there has got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Can't believe it.
Yeah, but you know what? Funny as hell, as always, informative, and it leads us in, actually, to what I want to talk about next, and this whole idea of the hidden campaign going on, not to get delegates, but to keep delegates, and the lead up to what could be one of the most contentious conventions of our lifetime, Russ, coming up in Cleveland. There's an article in Politico, came out recently, talking about Ted Cruz is light years ahead of Donald Trump and his campaign in securing delegates for possible multiple rounds of voting. The word is that Cruz has been very active in getting delegates to commit to him after the first round of voting, even delegates that he didn't win, that Trump won, especially delegates in the South. Trump has since dispatched Ben Carson to North Dakota to try to secure delegates there and is playing a little bit of catch-up in this game within the game. It's one of those wonky nuances of politics that not a lot of people know about, and I would dare say might even be called dirty tricks. What do you think about that, Yak? You're shaking your head with me. It's not video, it's radio, pal.
You know something? It is dirty tricks, and the problem is if this doesn't work out, this could be a catastrophe. And the real problem is that most people don't remember Ford versus Reagan, don't remember these kind of conventions. They're used to the nominee walks in and gets the convention, and if they don't feel that this has been a fair game, even though this is a republic and this is how it works with conventions, it's fair play in theory, but I'm sorry, this could be devastating for us if we don't play it right.
Can the GOP survive a brokered convention, Russ? I'm doubtful.
I'm doubtful as well, and just to give a little background on so everybody's tracking. So let's get everybody caught up. Gene said a lot. Delegates. So we see the votes, the results of a state's votes on TV, and they say, all right, X number of delegates are now Donald Trump. What has to be understood is how these delegates are selected. In New York State, for instance, the rule used to be that the congressional districts are the guys, the congressman can appoint delegates to the convention. And every campaign would reach out to the Republican activists in Brooklyn, let's say, and we were all trying to be delegates for different campaigns. Whoever won, that would be the delegate that goes out there. With that said, so take any state you want, and the way that their party, their Republican local state party, decides on how to select a delegate, it depends on who that state party really supports. Now, the interesting thing here, really, and I've been saying this since the beginning, is that a guy like Donald Trump, as crazy as he is, actually makes a guy like Ted Cruz more palatable to the rhino or the establishment, which is insane. 2 years ago, no one would have ever thought that establishment Republicans would be lining up to support Ted Cruz. I kind of predicted this. That they would be lining up to support Ted Cruz because Donald Trump is so far out there. But now, going back to what Gene said real quick, so now the delegates that are being selected by the party infrastructure, which, by the way, Ted Cruz has a much better understanding of than Donald Trump. Donald Trump has very few advisors. He has a skeleton staff on his campaign, has no real roots in any political organizations throughout the country, whereas Ted Cruz knows how to run a political campaign, knows how to navigate local political party infrastructures because he was a senator. He's a senator now from Texas. He has a much bigger advantage. So these delegates that get selected by the local state parties, they go and they're bound to vote on the first round of votes for the person who won their state.
And depending upon the state you're talking about, there's also this idea of a superdelegate. It's more prevalent on the Democrat side, but the superdelegate may not necessarily be bound to do anything that the election results reflected. At least in New York, I think they're bound themselves in the first round, but there are some states where they're not bound at all, and they can just vote whoever they want.
Not even for the first round?
Not even for the first round. And who are those super delegates? We're talking about elected officials that are in government already. We're talking about party, higher echelon in the state party, in the state committee. We're talking about staffers. of different elected officials who are higher up in the state hierarchy, who will do what's in their boss's best interest, not necessarily the country's best interest. We're talking about a lot of people who would not be happy with a Trump nominee. And what's going to end up happening is if Trump doesn't get to that magic number of 1237, either because Kasich remains in the race or because Cruz starts winning places, if for some reason he can't make that magic number, let's get ready to rumble. And exactly what Andre said in his monologue. The good of the nation's at stake, not just the Republican Party. But they're not thinking that far ahead.
Here's why we survived this, by the way. This is not new. Yak kind of alluded to this before, or actually explicitly said it. This has happened before in Republican politics. I talked about it last week. You got the two main ones I can remember off the top of my head. Abraham Lincoln did not go into his first presidential race with a majority of the delegates needed to secure the Republican nomination. It was a contested convention in which he wound up when he actually went in with less than the frontrunner, Seward. Seward was the guy he was running against, and Seward lost the nomination to Lincoln. One of the greatest outcomes possibly in American history. Not saying that that's going to happen this time. And then the latest one, which Yak was talking about, Gerald Ford actually beat Ronald Reagan the first time at a contested convention.
Also had less than Reagan.
But you know what? It was 40 years ago. There's virtually nobody, unless they're in the Brooklyn GOP, who was around back then that can remember exactly what happened and how it works. This is a new party apparatus. This is I would even dare say it's a new age in politics where social media and snap opinions dominate, as opposed to 40 years ago where you could say you can have a little bit more of a contemplative search for a candidate, and believe it or not, a lot of it was behind closed doors. Shocking, I know. Everything's going to be out in the fore. There's going to be people choosing sides. It's going to be more chaotic because of social media. I'm not optimistic of a party surviving intact, at least, through a brokered convention, Russ. I'm really concerned about it. And by the way, who else comes out of the woodwork at a brokered convention? There have been names thrown out everywhere.
Well, actually, good point, Gene. Let me amend my previous statement, if you will.
Uh-oh.
We survive if it's Cruz or Trump coming out with the nomination, regardless of which one goes in with the most delegates.
But what if it's Kasich? What if it's Rubio?
That's where we don't survive.
What if it's Paul Ryan?
But worse if it's not anyone who even ran. It's one thing...
What if it's Yak Bard?
We're doomed.
Well, that's a good point.
We're doomed.
That if in fact it winds up being like a Mitt Romney or a Paul Ryan or someone who wasn't even running, or they dust off a candidate that's already lost, then that's a real issue, and I don't know if we survive from that.
No, we don't. I can tell you clearly on therecord.com that we are doomed, and we might not recover for many, many cycles. Absolutely, we don't. It would be a devastating.
But is this...
Absolutely.
But, okay, so let me get a little optimistic.
Before you go, Gene, I'm going to have to interrupt you because I don't want to lose this. Yak was just talking a little far away from the mic, and I moved him forward closer to the mic by pushing his back.
I wish I had a picture of that.
Did I batter him? But go ahead. I hate to pick scabs, but go ahead.
I think it was consensual.
I intentionally touched him, and it was not consensual. I just battered him back. So go ahead. Go ahead, Gene. And you let me know, Yak, tonight if you have a bruise on your back from me pushing. I'm sorry, Gene. Go with your point.
God, I hate you guys. Okay, so batteries aside, I want to know if maybe this is what's needed, though. Maybe this is the cleansing fire from which rises a better and stronger conservative movement. Maybe this is the final straw that breaks the camel's back of the party that we know, and we transition into a new, stronger conservative party.
With Hillary Clinton as our president. Is that what you want?
And you know what?
The Rhino Phoenix.
But that might be what has to happen. If Hillary wins... By the way, according to Russ Gallo, she's going to jail, so it doesn't matter.
I'm still with that. There's no way
so
she
we're
makes
good.
it.
So we're good then.
So you're
covered
okay?
on all grounds.
So you're okay with the cleansing fire then? Burn the house down. Let's rebuild from the ground up.
I hate to tell you, the majority of Trump supporters subscribe to that. They agree. Burn it down.
I'm itching towards that position, though.
Well, let's say this.
Waterboarding is illegal. I don't give a damn.
Me
Do
neither.
it. Building a wall, Mexico's not going to pay for it.
I
don't give a damn. Do it. People don't care anymore, Gene. They're angry.
Are these the same two guys who are arguing vehemently that I had to cut off microphones because Trump was so horrible? Yak Bard is the biggest flip-flopper in the history of Behind Enemy Lines.
This is not... It's one thing to disagree with a candidate think that a candidate
You battered them again, Russ.
stupid and awful. It's one thing not to like Trump and want to vote for Cruz, and him not being clear how much he loves Cruz and how much he wants Trump to win. I don't know where he really stands. It's one thing to disagree on a candidate, but the attitudes, quite frankly, with a lot of Cruz and Trump supporters, a lot of crossover attitudes on different subjects. And I think waterboarding is not just with Cruz and Trump. I think anyone who my father knew a close friend that died on the 70th floor of the Twin Towers. It was horrible. And I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that story because we need to move on. But you know something? Anyone who knows a firefighter, waterboarding? Are you nuts? No one gives a crap about waterboarding, about Gitmo. Seriously.
All right.
And it's not flip-flopping, Gene.
It is flip-flopping.
No, it's not. Everyone has a candidate. According to you, then, whoever you pick first in the primary, that's your guy, and if they don't win the primary, you're not voting for the Republican nominee. That's ridiculous.
I did not say I'm voting for anyone. I didn't commit to anything.
The palpable animosity that Yak Barber
I'll give you that.
Stop
because there's several people in the room right now who are dead set against Donald Trump and who are now somewhat open to the idea, at least.
Hey, stop flip-flopping about flip-flopping, Gene.
Nice, Yak. Nice.
This is why we don't have Yak on the show too often, because it comes 2-on-1. Gene against the world. I don't care. Bring it on. All right, we're getting to the end of the show here. Dare I say it, it's time for final thoughts. Oh, boy. Yak, you are the guest. You're here. Tell everybody about your blog, by the way, that you never write on.
Okay, there's only like 2 blog posts on the Yak Attacks .us.
No, calm down. It's the yakattacks.blogspot.com. Man doesn't write on his own blog. Man doesn't know how to plug his own blog.
Stay tuned. We will make that blog great again.
Okay, so time for your final thought. Go ahead.
But seriously, I want to get serious because Russ, we're talking about something.
I'm going to stop laughing in a second. Just give me 1 second.
I'm getting serious about
you were giving your own website out, and we're going down the wrong path. Totally derailed. I'm sorry. That was funny. I'm sorry. Gene, nice save. That was great.
Listen, I don't know how to promote my own candidates. I don't know how to promote my own blogs. I'm a mess.
All right, but Yak's final thought.
Let's get serious for a second or few.
Deep breath, Russ.
I'm getting a deep breath too.
Bend over into the mic, Yak.
I'm not.
Log into your blog.
I am not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian at all. That much is clear to everyone. But what happened last week on what Christians refer to as Good Friday was despicable. It was devastating to humanity that a pastor was crucified by ISIS. And it's not just that the fact that he got killed in a horrific death. This was ISIS saying, you Christians, look at you, look who we crucified this time. And no one's going to do anything about it, right? Listen, this is pure evil. This is Nazism 2.0. Yes. And I'm sorry when I read about stuff that goes on about ISIS. This brings back memories when my grandparents, my father talking about what he heard from his parents that I never got to meet because they died before I was born. But I'm sorry, and I got horrific stories to tell, but I won't. But when I read stuff about what ISIS is doing, I'm sorry. This is Nazism 2.0. This is the reemergence of evil, and if we don't stop it, we're doomed.
Very good, Yak. I appreciate the sentiment there, and you did a great job there, pal. I know we have a lot of fun with you, but
when you gotta get serious, you get serious. I'm sorry.
And we hope to hear about you on the yakattacks.blogspot.com.
We will.
Russ Gallo.
Yak, that was an awesome final thought. Very well put together. And I'm looking at his notes, and he didn't write all that down. He did a very good job. Awesome job. I have 2 quick final thoughts. One's going to be touching on Yak's and one on the Michelle Fields thing. Real quick.
Don't touch me. Don't batter me.
Shh. All right, so first on Michelle Fields. Michelle Fields, love you to death. You got to man up. You got to man up here. Women in combat, war on women, women in professional sports. This is a joke. You know what I mean? That was not battery. No one believes it is. If you look at the video, would I want my daughter or girlfriend to be touched like that? No, but it's not a battery. Like, let's man up. How do you want women in combat if they can't, be a reporter in a situation like that? That's insanity. All right, that's one. Number 2, real quick. Crucifying the priest, the genocide going on in the Middle East against Christians. Here's my view, and I think Donald Trump echoes this pretty well. Ted Cruz to some extent as well. Carpet bomb, you're damn right. Carpet bomb those fools right to hell where they belong. Torture, waterboard, you're damn right. Torture every one of them you find and you get the information out of them. Put boots on the ground so we can accomplish these things right away. And you're damn right, stop Muslim immigration into this country, as Donald Trump, said, until we figure out what the hell is going on. Gene, that's my 2 final thoughts.
I appreciate that, Russ. Thanks for all of that. The alarm going off outside from the window in Brooklyn, New York.
The People's Republic of
First world problems.
This is evil. Maybe not the car alarm, but everything else going on here is definitely evil. We're out of time, folks. It's time to shut this sucker down. Russ, what do you say?
Gene, shut this mofo down.
All right, before the cops get here for my car, good night, folks.
It's a raid.
See you next week.
Our position's been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. A rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.